Hi children, Namaste. Today we are going to learn about industrial revolution in Europe. In general, this is a good topic and which we have to know everybody. And what is industrial revolution? It was transition to new manufacturing processes. Once again, it was the transition to new manufacturing process in Europe and United States in the period from about 1760 to sometimes between 1820 and 1840. So what is industrial revolution? Establishing more industries through a new technology. Establishing a new industries through new technology. So this industrial revolution, as you know, started in England around 1750, and soon the factory production spread to France, Holland, Germany, Spain, Russia, etc. And we know very well that the first industrial country in the world is England. So where is England? So this is England. And then move to France, Germany, Holland or Netherlands, Spain and Russia. So almost all the countries, especially England, France, Germany, they were developed industrially. And what is a revolution? We already discussed, my dear children. Revolution is nothing but a transition. How the process, a new technical process or new technology came into existence, and by that they produced more number of products and they exported to other countries. By that they were strengthened economically. So industrial revolution makes or led the countries to be strengthened economically. And you see the countries like England and Germany, which had large reserves of coal and other minerals, took lead in developing new industry. As England and Germany has got more coal deposits, so that's why, and not only that, there are other minerals also, and led for developing or establishing new industries. However, as the times changed, European countries began to use less and less of their own mineral resources and relied on imports from other countries. How it was possible? When these European countries become strengthened economically and they started establishing colonies throughout the world. We know very well that India was a colony of England. And we know that India is a land of resources. And neighboring country, that Indonesia is a land of spices. And China, and even Iraq and America and African countries. And all these countries were very well possessing of different types of materials or minerals, and they used this colonial expansion for the use of the minerals, especially for the developing of industries. See here once again, especially European countries began to use less and less of their own mineral resources and relied on imports. What is meant by import? Receiving from other countries. Imports from other countries. The old mining towns and factories were closed down. New factories grew in new areas. So old factories and old industries were closed down, and industrialization also enabled the European countries to import agricultural goods from other countries. For example, I would like to tell you one example, my dear children. We know very well that India is a great producer of cotton. And what would we do with cotton? So we can produce textiles. So when England was ruled our country, they used to import the cotton from India, and they produce the textiles, different types of textiles, and use it to export other countries. So by that, they strengthened economically, they strengthened financially. So industrialization enabled the European countries to import agricultural goods from other countries. Thus, they relied less on the agriculture of their countries for their food and raw material requirements. As they are importing from other countries these agricultural products, and they are not relying or they are not depending on their countries for these agricultural foods, especially food and raw material requirements. Hence, Europe become dependent upon trade with other countries. Initially, this trade was with their colonies in Asia, Africa, and America. We had already discussed that as they established their power or authority in other countries, as we call them as colonies, and for performing trade with these colonies, and initially or at first they maintained trade relations with the colonies, especially the continents of Asia, Africa, and America. And whenever these colonies became independent, they had to develop new ways of trading with them. So till 1947, my dear children, we know that we were under the British rule, and nothing but India was a colony of British. Until then, they import our deposits or resources for their factories or industries. And when we get the independence, and they search for a new ways of trading with those countries. And let us have a look and how these industries were established in England. So some of the portraits of industrial revolution, especially in Europe. Another portrait of factories of Europe during the Industrial Revolution, how the machinery are producing the goods. This is a cotton textiles industry. Cotton textile. and another industry. Another industry. See how the women are working in factories. Man at work. Both men and women. Both men and women. And another industry which emits the smoke and gas. Another industry here. The workers in industries. So we know very well that the smoke and gas which emits by the industries or factories generally it damages the environment. That is a portrait of that. All the machines are lower. So reduction to industrial revolution. Fourth industrial revolution. So once again. Car industry, printing machine, ship, factory workers, locomotive, so these are the important things which you have to remember, my dear children, regarding the industry. Some inventions during this industrial revolution: flying shuttle or weaving made easy. So this is the machine to make the process of weaving the cotton made it easy. The second invention during this industrial revolution. The spinning jenny increased wool mills' productivity. So third one, the James Watt steam engine, the engine that changed the world. The engine that changed the world. Another, cotton gin, the engine that made cotton production boom. The cotton gin, the engine that made cotton production boom. And telegraph communications, a pillar of the industrial revolution. Communication, it's a revolution actually. A revolution. Portland cement and the invention of concrete. Portland cement, the invention of concrete. And seventh, the modern roads by John McAdam. The modern roads by John McAdam. And the Bessemer process that changed steel. The Bessemer process that changed steel. And the first modern battery by Volta. The first modern battery by Volta. This is another modern Volta. And locomotive revolution, locomotive. The engine which pulls the train is nothing but we call it as a locomotive. So that is a revolution actually. And such revolution takes place during this industrial revolution, my dear children. So this about the inventions during, and the first factory opened by Lohm in especially around 1721. So that is the first factory. And the power loom overtaking all UK factories. The power loom, a textiles machine, textiles. The invention of power loom effectively increased the output of work by over a factor of 40. That Aquat's water frame spinning machine. Aquat's water frame spinning machine. And the spinning mule, the game changer. The spinning mule, the game changer. So these are the some important inventions which took place during the Industrial Revolution, my dear children. Try to remember, it's very important. The Henry Cord's peddling process. The Henry Cord's peddling process is another invention. And gaslighting, lighting the streets of modern world. Gaslighting, lighting the streets of the modern world. Another invention took place. And 2000 cells to create the first arc lamp. 2000 cells to create first arc lamp. And the tin can jumping to new production heights. The tin can jumping to new production heights. And spectrometer are how studied glowing objects. Spectrometer, we know very well that. So the German inventor Joseph Fraunhofer He invented the spectrometer, and this device was devised to enable the chemical analysis of glowing objects. That's a spectrometer. And camera obscura, the first photograph, the camera first obscura. So these are the important inventions, my dear. So you have to remember all these things. And like that industrial revolution in Europe, what happened? Changed the lives of the Europeans.